would you mind having somebody close the blinds? Because all I can see is silhouettes.
I can't because they took the blinds down to repair.
Oh, really?
Otherwise, I would say absolutely.
I can't even see anybody's face.
Sorry.
That's okay, thanks.
Additionally, I would like to add a discussion on the status of the E2 engineering manager position negotiations. Wes Haber will be giving that later on in the meeting.
Any objection from the board for that item? All right, so there'll be new item number 7 and great. No objection. Then we will will move on to item number E on your agenda. That is comments from the public for items that are not on the agenda. So if you have a comment, please raise your hand.
I can just make this quick. I'm Jerry Smith. Could you give us a FEMA update sometime during the process today as well?
Let's see, we have
Were you present at the last meeting? Okay. I'd like to.
I was running on as part of my presentation.
Okay. Go ahead, we'll just work that into Josh's presentation. We won't make that specific, which I thought was good.
Any other comments from the attendees?
I think a lot of people talk with the board members on it. Maybe we could get some information on that.
Okay.
It's also in the minutes. There's a background that was given in the last meeting in the minutes. If you'd like to read through that. If you have any other questions, you may want to reserve those questions till after the end of the meeting. We'd be happy to address. We have a lot of business to cover. But it is in the meeting minutes from the last meeting that were published, and copies are here if you didn't download it.
I can tell you quickly, it's George Single, Bill Lister, Tim Cantwell, Stan Armand, and FTC, and we'll be dealing with that in a minute.
And just so everybody's aware, the minutes and all the meeting materials for each one of these Quarry CDD meetings are always posted to your quarrycdd.org website. So you can download financials, budgets, minutes, meeting packages. Usually we try to keep at least the last year's worth of information on that website. We also keep a listing of all the board members on that website and their current terms. So any of that information is available at any time to any resident here in the board.
And that's the quarrycdd.org. That's one word, quarrycdd.org.
All right, any other comments from the public? Seeing none, we will move on to approval of the minutes. Item number F, just so the board is aware, your last meeting that we had approximately 2 weeks ago was actually a continued meeting from the prior meeting 2 weeks prior to that. That meeting actually occurred on February 19th. These minutes are all encompassing. Because it was a continued meeting, in theory, it was still the same meeting. And that's why you have one set of, or kind of two sets of minutes all to be approved at this board. I will apologize now that obviously I wasn't at the meeting 2 meetings ago. So any comments on that I will be able to help you with. But if you see anything specific that you'd like changed, please do that now.
One correction. Egotistical correction. Correct my middle initial from R to T. That's all I have.
Anybody else? I have two. It's listed as page 9, but there's a 4 in the middle of the page. Discussion regarding financing for phase 2. The minutes state, which would give the district until November 30, 2019. And Josh Evans, could you please, is it November 30 or November 1st? November 1st, so please clarify that. Second item is on the same page, listed as page 9, update on RFQ for quality assurance manager. It stated, Mr. Single advised the board, as the construction monitor discussed at the previous meeting. I don't even know what that means, so please review what that was supposed to mean and update it accordingly.
All right, I'll go back and read and listen at the board.
Okay.
And I apologize, Mr. Holden, the middle initial was
T.
T. Any other, I'll give you guys a minute to sort of review those minutes a little bit further, see if you catch any fat fingers or technically or anything like that. would look for a motion to accept the minutes as amended.
Yeah, I'll second the motion.
All right, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? The motion to accept the minutes as amended passes. That's for both sets of minutes. Great. Moving on to old business, discussion and ranking of Irma Repair Restoration Phase 2 proposals.
Okay, the first thing I think we need to discuss is the fact that Dragonfly Pondworks has eliminated or removed themselves, withdrawn from consideration. So we are down to one bidder now, Quality Engineering, and they were the engineering company that also did Heritage Bay. And the issue that existed whenever Dragonfly and Quality Engineering were both in the mix was that Dragonfly's estimates were so much below. At the time of the first rollout of information for the two companies, Josh Evans gave a preliminary estimate on the amount of riprap that supported Quality Engineering's more than it did Dragonfly's. In fact, Dragonfly's was about half of what Josh Evans and Quality had estimated. So right now we only have one company to consider, Quality. And in general, their amounts were supported initially by Josh Evans. And Josh Evans has an update to the preliminary calculations that he performed to determine secondarily, I guess, or separately, what a proper amount should be for the Phase 2 repairs.
Josh, before you do that, I think at Dragonfly, the one thing that I remember came up at the meeting, the last meeting, was Dragonfly was talking about taking stone that had already slid down. They were going to then take that stone and move it back up. And the problem I had right off the bat was that was the stone that really was inadequate to do the job in the first place. And they wanted to take that stone and reincorporate it with some of their other stone that they would bring in. And to me, it was just compounding the same problem we had in the first place. So yeah, their bid was less, but how they were arriving at it and the benefit to us at the long-term basis really did not appeal to me at all. So I was not unhappy when they left. And the other thing that bothered me more than anything else was that they weren't going to tell us that up front. This is something all of a sudden we started to ask questions. It materialized, and that kind of left me a little uncomfortable also. So I'll leave it at that.
Just to add my thoughts on Dragonfly, their quantity below, they were doing the work from land, so there would have been a great deal of disturbance to our properties in servicing the shoreline, whereas the first contractor, Metro, and the contractor currently in consideration, Quality, would be doing the work from barges, from the water, minimizing disturbance to our shoreline and our properties. So that's important to me. The other issues with Dragonfly had to do with some of their proposal materials. They apparently were not certified in Florida or in Collier County. So while they submitted a request to withdraw, it would be my recommendation or my motion, unless there's other discussion, that we accept their withdrawal or reject their bid for the reasons that we've discussed and commence with a discussion or an authorization to negotiate with Quality.
The only thing I have, Stan, is that I asked to just hear what Josh has to say about his updated estimates to verify. I believe he's going to end up verifying and validating qualities, and at that point, if he does, I would definitely be seconding that one.
Josh Evans for the record.
I'm sorry, this is Wes. When we get to the motion, and we'll hear from Josh first, I think there's some aspects of the motion that I'd like to clarify, but I'll have to do that after Josh makes his comment.
Okay, we recalculated the quantities essentially 3 different ways over the last 2 weeks to validate the quality proposal, and our quantities weren't exact, but they came substantially closer to qualities than Dragonflies. The largest contributor to the material, or to the cost, was the material and placement of the riprap. We got very close to their number. We'll probably negotiate some things, but to the extent that the largest items in the contract proposal, we came up with quantities that were very close to their neighbors, so we felt comfortable with their contract.
Okay, Wes?
So, a few things. Based on the comments that we've heard about Dragonfly, I think you probably, if the board is agreeable that it wants to eliminate Dragonfly from consideration, I think probably the best way to do that is to do a motion granting the withdrawal and removing Dragonfly from consideration. So I would make that a separate motion. With respect to the proposal for quality, the district has obviously evaluation criteria that it approved in connection with reviewing that proposal. You only have one proposer, so you know that the score is less important. But the one point I want to make is at a minimum that the board feels that quality sufficiently meets all the evaluation criteria for the board to move forward with an award of the contract to quality under Florida law. And I think I may have mentioned this in prior meetings, an RFP is put out, and then quality submits its response to that RFP as a acceptance to the RFP that the district put out. The RFP that the district used was a lump sum contract. I know there's room for negotiation with quality with respect to the structure of that contract, perhaps using a unit price concept instead of a lump sum contract. So my recommendation would be for a second motion that to the extent the board feels that the quality met sufficiently the evaluation criteria identified by the board, that the motion be that the contract be awarded to quality subject to one, the district obtaining sufficient funding for that contract, and two, quality being willing to negotiate with the district to address or to revise the contract to contemplate to some degree, a unit price concept to take advantage of some of the savings to the extent that some of the amounts in quality's proposal were more than what may actually be needed. But I think we'll want to specify sort of the items that the award is subject to, and if we don't successfully negotiate with quality, it would then give the district the ability to not move forward with the contract with quality. The next step would then be you would have to go back through a separate RFP process, but that's what the law would require. And I'm happy to answer any questions.
Good recommendation. I would amend my motion to be those two motions that Wes just offered.
I can restate that.
So the motion would be to accept Dragonfly's withdrawal of their bid. That would be the first motion. We have a second. And all those in favor? Aye. All those opposed? That motion carries 4-0. The second motion, and to be clear, Wes is saying that we need to be specific specific as to the item in which we would like to negotiate with quality is if the board so chooses to award the contract to quality, what specific items, it sounds like one.
A, the contract be awarded subject to conditions of funding.
Yes.
B, that quality engineering is willing to contemplate unit price, concept, or some variation thereof to allow room for negotiation. Those are the two provisions.
And the reason for the second provision in more simple terms is that Quality's already said they had quoted 14,000 tons. And now we've had two calculations by our engineer director that shows it's going to be somewhere around 10,000 or so tons. Now, in general, when you establish an engineering estimate for a lump sum project, you put a lot of fat in because the contractor is assuming the risk. Whereas during a job that is unit cost, both share the risk along. So in this case, because the RFQ went out as a lump sum, Quality bid a lump sum, put a lot of fat in. But what Wes is recommending we do is basically put some verbiage in the minutes that we're going to go back now. The new board is going to go back to Quality and ask them if they're going to be willing to work with us. Since the RFQ was specific and said lump sum, by law, we must follow that unless they're willing to work with us, which we all assume. We all hope that they're going to be willing to work with us. Anybody have any questions on that? Yes, sir.
Jim Kinster, Highway Harbor Court. I've got two comments to share with you. One, taking consideration of what I heard the last time on this contract. We, if we're going to go into the contract and all for that, we have to make sure we've got the established controls, number one, the quality of the product, quality of installation, and the project management. I think we need any motion conditional, those types of things, or we will find out again.
I think we all agree.
And by the way, that's why we have the quality manager and the construction manager as a part of phase two.
Tony?
Is there any price concern if we use Quality's rock? Is that out of the, I don't know, should.
As long as they meet specification,
I mean, is that competitive than outside?
it's bid on some, Tony, so we really don't, they're responsible for everything, so we just have to consider the whole price, and they really aren't, I don't know if they're required, that might be the wrong word, but they're not compelled to tell us everything about the work.
Can I assume the quality manager is going to be an independent engineer that has air emissions insurance, so that if there is a problem, we have some recourse?
You're correct, they, the quality.
The law requires that as well.
Yeah, I wasn't here for the continuation of the meeting, so before you go ahead and provide some clarification on what's happening with phase one, how that all relates.
This is specifically about phase two, but we can talk about phase one.
It's in the later. If we could reserve some of the questions related to other subjects to the end, we'll leave as much time as you want at the end. There are several motions on the table, but we certainly will bring everybody up to speed. And all the questions you have, are great. If it relates to a specific item that we're voting on right now, and you have input that's vital, more than happy to hear it. But to keep the agenda moving, we prefer to keep any non-related questions that might be later in the agenda later.
George, if you could just expound a little bit more on the unit cost. We have obviously a lump sum price that includes X tons of rocks. On the unit cost, are you looking for just as they use the rock, as we get our reports from the quarry, how much was shipped? Would there hold up at the end as a deduct, or are you considering specifying a lesser amount than what they are.
By law, they've established a lump sum contract, and their executive was at the CDE meeting several weeks ago, basically stated that the 14,000 tons that are included in what was in excess, and it's an excess associated with the fact that it's lump sum. They have to include the risk, the extra rock, if you will, that may be considered.
So it has to be almost like a not to exceed.
Well,
Yeah, it's strictly lump sum. Right now, they hold the risk, they get the gain. That's it.
but the reason, just to clarify, the reason we're including provision B, which is the ability to entertain the idea of a unit price, is solely to allow us to negotiate from a legal perspective without sending another RFP out. We're not there yet. So we don't, right now, that price, and we have a ranking system. I have had a chance prior to the meeting independently to rank before Dragonfly withdrew. And just, you know, I gave Dragonfly a 50 point and QE got 69 points. So we have a contractor that, in my opinion, I think we all share the opinion, is the best there is. Are they more expensive? Yes. Do they do excellent work? Absolutely. And you can see it at Heritage Bay, you can see it at the corner of Collier and Mockley Road. They are one of the best in the state. But we now have the provision with this motion on the table to get that price down, possibly. And that's the only, but we're not even prepared to discuss the mechanics of how and when and how much. Just so everybody understands.
And to be clear, the way the motion is being presented, this allows us the opportunity to ask Quality if they will negotiate. Now, Quality might say, yeah, we bid it as a lump sum, we want to keep it as a lump sum, and the board can still choose to accept the lump sum if they so choose, but this gives them the option to say, we don't want to accept this lump sum, and then we would have to go through the process again. So at the end of the day, it's not, I would almost look at the lump sum as the upper end, the roof of what we're looking at. We're trying to see if there's room for Quality to let us go to a unit price, which we all believe would result in a I don't know how substantially less, but at least some of a less amount than the current contract.
Question for Wes. What are the mechanics and process of a negotiation with Quality?
Sure. So I think the first step we would want to take is issuing a notice to Quality indicating that, you know, the board reviewed the proposal and awarded the contract to Quality subject to, and then identified the matters that we've identified in the memo. And then the law contemplates a period of time whereby contractors have a right to file a protest. I think we'll want to let that time frame of 72 hours pass before we commence the negotiations, just to make sure that they are not threatening. And my understanding is that they aren't, but I think it's better to be safe than sorry to let that period expire. Once that period expires, I think it probably makes sense for the board to identify a board member to work with probably Josh to really negotiate the business term of what Quality is going to be willing to do as it relates to the manner in which the contract is structured to allow the district to take advantage of some savings by virtue of the fact that there is more material than necessary included in the lump sum proposal. If once business terms are sort of reached, I think it would then be incumbent upon me to prepare a contract that accurately reflects what the parties agreed to. So I think initially it's the notice, then once the notice is sent, it's the negotiation for the business side of it, and then to the extent that Quality is represented by counsel, otherwise I would be able
preclude the option of accepting the lump sum proposal. I want to make sure that we do have the option, should they not wish, or we find that the negotiations are not fruitful or beneficial to the CDD and the quarry, that we have the ability then to accept the original proposal as a lump sum proposal.
Okay. And I think we can do that. I think the motion would be subject to negotiations for a lump sum, rather for a contract that recognizes unit price savings, but with the understanding that the district may agree to enter into the original lump sum arrangement. I think if the motion reflects that, that'll be sufficient. And then it'll really just come down to, as I think Michael accurately explained, the purpose of doing the subject to motion is to make it clear that that's the intent with respect to the award of the contract. But I also, and just based on that statement, I want to, I guess, make it clear, or I guess clarify, if negotiations are not successful to recognize a unit price saving, you want the option to then say, we're willing to then do the lump sum contract, but you don't want that to be, I'm assuming, an obligation. In other words, if negotiations fall through, the district has the right, but not the obligation, to then say, we're willing to do the lump sum. In other words, you want the...
Exactly. Just as you stated, Wes. I just